Thank you for welcoming us to your headphones. This is Fernando from the Wednesday Rewind. And with me, I have a guest joining me from the Rollback crew. Here he is.
Hello, my name is Chemarza, joining from the rollback.net and reviewing today. This is Booksmart. All right.
Gemma, if you like, I'd really like to hear your synopsis for it because I feel like it sums up the movie perfectly.
All right, perfect. Booksmart, getting straight A's, giving zero F's. Two academic teenage superstars realize on the eve of their high school graduation that they should have worked less and played more. Determined to never fall short of their peers, the girls set out on a mission to cram 4 years of fun into one night. So hi, Fernie. Here we are. Let's talk about Olivia Wildes' directorial debut and my personal favorite film of 2019, Booksmart.
You know, when I first saw this trailer, I remember the marketing for it. The marketing for it was produced by Will Ferrell, Adam McKay, and I was just like, well, I mean, it's Will Ferrell, Adam McKay. I mean, they're two of the best comedy writer-director combos, ever. Putting out hits like Step Brothers, Talladega Nights. I mean, you can't mess with them. So for them to go and put their names on Olivia Wilde's project, I mean, I find that to be pretty surprising because, I mean, what do we know about Olivia Wilde? I mean, the first thing I ever saw her in was House, MD. And, I mean, she's always had that it factor of being funny. I mean, she's always had that funny aspect, but I never saw that to be in her first movie. Like, and for me, like, I love when, I don't know why, I've always loved when actors turn to directing. I always find it interesting. I feel like I'm watching a friend do a project, and I'm looking in on it. I felt that way when I saw Bad Words by Jason Bateman.
Really good movie.
Oh, I love that movie. It's one of my favorite dark comedies.
Seeing that guy curse at that small child in the hallway is one of my favorite things in the world.
Oh, that one, that whole movie is just a masterpiece in comedy, and he does it so well. But back to Olivia Wilde, I mean, for her to do this movie, it was pretty great. I mean, I was really surprised as to how good it was because, I mean, the cast isn't really that well known.
Nope. In fact, most of the well-known actors or established actors are the older characters, like the parents or the teachers or some of the other adults that show up. The principal is played by what's his name? He's Olivia Wilde's husband.
Jason Sudeikis.
Yeah, Jason Sudeikis. Yeah. Sorry. He's Olivia Wilde's husband, so she probably casted it like they're like, oh, you're not doing anything, just get in there. Phoebe from Friends plays the mom of one of the kids. Who else? There's a lot of really, but I think this is a good coming out show for a lot of these actors. One of the two main girls, the girl who plays Molly, Benny Feilstein. Yeah, her. I remember her from Lady Bird. She played the best friend in Lady
There
Bird.
it is. I was trying to remember where I saw her from.
Yeah, and she was a really strong supporting player in that one. So she's leading on this. And the other girl, Caitlin Dever, who plays Amy, I saw her in that movie Beautiful Boy with Timothy Chalamet and Steve Carell. She played the love interest in that. To me, this is her movie. Like, she freaking shines in this. She's so funny. They're both really funny, but there's something about the way that she makes this face where she's completely like awkward and just she feels like her face really reflects this like concerned look the whole time that I find really, really funny. Yeah, I think a movie like this, which is a small film directed by like a first-time director who's pretty well established, but she uses all these connections to make a really, really tight script and a really wonderful execution. I think this is the quintessential probably not Gen Z, but like one of those mainline Gen Z comedy teen films that will probably mark this next generation the same way that probably Superbad marked us. You know what I mean?
Oh, and funny that you bring up Superbad because I don't know if you know this, but the girl who plays Molly, she's actually Jonah Hill's sister.
I did heard about that. Yeah. Funny they didn't use the same last name, but I don't know what's the story behind that. But yeah, they also kind of look alike. They have like a look, like a similar like face to them.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think movies like this, The Edge of 17, Eighth Grade, several of these movies have been coming out in this past few years, and I think they are gonna be like the next generation of those young teen comedies that I don't know if you grew up watching them, but they were certainly part of my growing up. Movies like I said, Superbad, Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, movies like that. I think ended up really affecting me in the way that I was growing up, was watching teenagers just doing shit, and I think this is going to be very similar to like the new generation.
I really hope that it is, because I mean it's crazy. You don't really see too many teen movies anymore. At least not teen movies in the word like Edge of 17, where it's about a teen who has her own problems, who's going through
Yeah,
her own stuff. You see it more like just comedies. Like
yeah,
they put out Good Boys, and that one's just comedies.
yeah.
But I mean, it's really rare now to see those coming of age teen movies. And I'm glad that you brought up Edge of 17 and Eighth Grade, because those are two of my favorites. I thought Haley Seinfeld killed it in that movie. I don't know the actress from Eighth Grade, but Bo Burnham, I thought he did a really good job for his directorial debut in that movie as well.
He perfectly encapsulates that like middle point between the Gen X and the Gen Z. To me, at least, I freaking love Eighth Grade. It made me very empathetic towards the whole Gen Z generation, which I can say that's a very hard thing to do, because I was ready to, I'm getting older. I'm ready to, flame on these kids. But that movie really made me feel like, oh, they're lost the same way that I was lost at that age.
Oh
That
yeah.
they're kind of doing their best with what they got. And I don't know. I really like how hard hitting that movie was. Really small parenthesis. I know we're talking about Booksmart, but that scene in Eighth Grade where they play Truth or Dare in the car, I would qualify that as one of the most top 10 horror scenes I've ever seen in my life. That was pretty horrific. That was
Oh yeah.
terrifying. Yeah, but like you said, I freaking love Age of 17 as well. Hailey Steinfeld is probably one of the most gifted actors of this generation, and I think if I could encapsulate this movie with just one sentence, is the girls are all right. They truly are all right. The kids are
Yeah.
all right. They're in good hands. We like to joke and we like to say like, oh, this generation's lost or whatever. I think they're actually doing pretty good, and this movie I think is a good example for that.
Yeah, because I mean, this movie, I mean, right out the gate, it has a completely different view as opposed to teen movies of the past. I mean, if you look at movies like Breakfast Club, Fast Times
Yeah,
at Ridgemont High, Dazed and Confused, Clueless, it they're all different from each other, and this movie's completely different from them. But it has the same bones. But I mean, this movie starts off with a lesbian girl and a straight girl. I mean, you would never see that back then, but now, I mean, it's pretty normal that the world has changed, and the norm is different now.
absolutely.
So we get to see a different aspect of society for a new generation. And for this movie, I mean, when I came into it, the thing that really stood out to me the most is the soundtrack. I love the soundtrack. I mean, I've tried listening to the songs by themselves, and for some reason it just never catches to me, but when I hear it in the movie, it hits those parts perfectly that it just matches with the tone of the movie, and it makes me like that music. And it's weird because I always find when directors are making their first movie, like actors, when you hear their soundtrack, you're kind of hearing a piece of them. And it's funny
Like a
because
playlist, yeah.
yeah, like I never assumed this would be Olivia Wilde's playlist. But I mean, from what I hear, it's actually really good.
Yeah, I think also it's supposed to be a reflection on the characters and that this moment, like at this age. It's not the soundtrack is not something that I would listen to like on a normal day, but
Yeah.
I believe that it's what those characters would listen to,
Hmm.
and I don't know if it's Olivia Wilde's playlist. I'm guessing it is, but but what I'm assuming is that she really gets into that mindset of she definitely knows these characters. She definitely knows how to write them and how to style them and everything. So she would be one who would say this is what they would listen to. And yeah, you're correct. It does match whatever's happening at the screen, and it's not distracting. I remember when I saw the movie Neighbors and the sequel, which I don't dislike. I actually think they're very funny movies, but the soundtrack has always distracted me. I feel like all the post 2010 teen comedy films have had this at least one scene where they're doing this tracking shot in the party, and they're moving from one person drinking to another person drinking to another person partying to another person jumping into the pool, and they have like this very strong like what trap beats. I guess that's what it's called.
Yeah, like it's
pop,
basically just to emphasize, like, oh, here's a party going on, and here's this generic party music.
Yeah, and it fits. It certainly fits the mood. It's not what I usually play on my drunken parties, but it certainly fits the mood of the generation. Very quickly, I wanted to ask, since we were talking about the young cast, Caitlin Dever and Benny Falsting, those are the two main characters. This movie features a lot of supporting players and a lot of supporting characters, both adults and young kids. My personal favorite, and I wanted to ask how you feel about this, was the character that Billie Lourd plays. She's Carrie Fisher's daughter.
Oh yeah. I love her in this movie.
She plays Gigi in this movie. This girl that keeps popping up into every party, completely unfazed regarding if she almost died in the last one. If her mother could see her now, she would be proud. I think she fucking kills it in this role. She's so fucking funny.
No, and I didn't even realize it was her until I was watching Rise of Skywalker, because I remember I remember that the daughter pops up, and I was like, I've seen her somewhere before. And like after a while, I was just like, oh, she's the crazy girl from Booksmart. But she does that role so well. Like she's the perfect comedic timing in that movie. Like when they show up at the murder mystery party, and then next thing you know, she's there, and they're just like, what the fuck?
They even ask her like why aren't you wet? You jump from the boat, and then she asked them like, why aren't you wet? Like, we didn't jump. And she's got so many like little quips. Like there's a scene where she takes them into like another room because they asked her like, where's the party that we want to go to? And she goes, of course, I know where all the parties are at. And then she takes them into this room, and she's with both of them and tells them, you can't tell anyone, especially each other.
And she's like, "Yep, we won't tell anybody."
Oh God, she fucking kills it in this movie. She's a perfect foil to everything else that's happening. And I went to see this movie at the theater, and then I went to see it. I went to see it twice. The first one I went by myself.
Same.
The second time I took my sister. She's about 2 years younger than me. I figured she might kind of like this. She ended up really liking it. At the end of the year, we went to see Rise of Skywalker. And when she pops in the Rise of Skywalker, she like comes in and is like, we got a message from whatever. The first thing she does is she turns to me and goes, Gigi, what are you doing here? Like, and it just works, man. Like she's used the right amount. Like not to the point where it could be annoying. Even though honestly, I'll take a whole spin-off with her. I think she's freaking great, but she's used in the right amount. And I think that perfectly encapsulates the whole film. The humor and the sensitive moments are used the right amount, and they clash against each other in a good way. Like you never get tired of the comedy, and you never get tired of the sensitive moments.
Yeah, like it's used just the right amount, because like her role could be very misused very easily. Like it's a running joke, but it's used at the right moments for the right amount of time.
Great. What else did you think about the movie?
With heavy hitters in the background, like Lisa Kudrow, Will Forte as Molly, not Molly's dad, and Amy's dad, and Jason Sudeikis. I mean, all of them are great comedic actors in their own right. And for them to pretty much just take like a back role and let this young cast like shine, I mean, it's pretty crazy because they all do really well. I mean, it's crazy on how the role of a kid actor has evolved so much. I mean, granted, I know they're not kids. They're all pretty much in their young. They're all young. They're 20s. In their early 20s. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're all doing really well at making names for themselves. I really hope, like, I get to see more of them, especially Beanie Feldstein. I
Yeah.
mean, she kills it. And it's funny because when I was watching it, there's the scene where they're tripping on the drugs that Gigi
Yeah. With the
gave
dolls.
them, and
Yeah.
when she grabs Amy's head and she's like telling her to calm down. If I don't know if you notice or if like you when you rewatch it, watch it and compare that scene to Jonah Hill's scene in Wolf of Wall Street where he's like tripping on Quaaludes
Drug.
at the party,
Yeah.
and they look exactly the same.
You know what? I never made that connection, but that's a good one to step on.
Yeah, I just
Oh
saw that
God.
recently when I rewatched it. I was watching it. I was just like, man, she looks exactly like Jonah Hill when he's tripping on drugs.
Well, damn, she really is carving that path really well. Did you saw the next project that she's attached to?
Who,
I think
Olivia
it's
Wilde?
no, Benny Falsing.
No, what is she attached to next?
So she's gonna work with one of my personal favorite directors, probably my favorite director, Richard Linklater, and
Mm.
he's gonna do a musical with her and with Ben Platt, who he was the best friend of the guy in Pitch Perfect. He's the guy from the musical Dear Evan Hansen.
Okay.
It's gonna be the two of them, and it's gonna be them, but he's gonna record it for like 17 years, like Boyhood.
Really? Oh, another one of
Yeah,
those? He did Boy,
another
right?
one of
Boyhood?
those. Boyhood, yeah,
Oh, and you know what's
yeah,
crazy is that whenever I think of Richard Linklater, I mean, he's the director that did Dazed and Confused, if I'm correct.
yeah, yeah.
And I love Richard Linklater. Dazed and Confused, it's probably one of my favorite films out there because I mean, you see all these big name actors and they're all super young. I mean, they were
Super young,
nobodies at this
yeah,
time. I
yeah.
mean, he's the guy that gave Matthew McConaughey his first shot.
Ben Affleck is also in that movie.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I'm really
Joy
glad to
Lawrence
see that she's going
Adams.
to be
Yeah,
working with him. And it's
yeah,
crazy that, I mean, man, those 17-year long shoots are going to be, that's going to be rough.
yeah. I hope they don't get like sick of it. Well, they're probably we're gonna film like what, couple weeks every year. Can't
Hmm.
really be that long.
Yeah,
Let me
I
just
mean,
confirm if it was 17 years. I remember it being like a super long thing. Merrily We Roll Along. It's called. Yeah. He says it's gonna be a decade, so that's gonna be coming back to Booksmart. I was gonna tell you about this. Oh yeah, Jason Sudeikis, who plays the school director, and later a not
and
Uber, the other one.
Lyft driver.
A Lyft driver, yeah. That scene when they're in the lift and he's got like all the lights and everything, and he's talking with them because he's like, oh, gotta have a second job. I thought that scene was sad and funny at the same time. I thought it really worked. But then it leads to one of my favorite jokes in the movie, which is they start to watch lesbian porn in the back of the car, and he lends them like this charger because they're running out of battery, and he thinks, oh, they probably want to play their own stuff, and then he connects it, and they all got the porn placed in the speaker, and in one of that was a scene that you had to watch it in the theater because the crowd reaction to that was bloody fantastic, and there's like the silence for awkwardness, and then he just turns and goes like, was that Cardi B? Oh God, one of the best executed jokes in the film in my opinion.
Like for me personally, I love and hate that comedy. Love it because it's hilarious, but hate
Yeah,
it because it's so unnerving. So you're just like,
it's awkward, but
yeah, you're just thinking
it
about like
has to
it happening
be.
to you. But
Yeah,
at the same time, it's just flat out hilarious. I
yeah.
mean, and it's funny because like that whole Lyft driver thing, it's not too far fetched. You do
It
hear
feels like
about
a thing
teachers
that
doing that.
would happen.
Yeah, like you
Yeah,
do hear teachers supplementing their income like by doing that.
yeah. I remember last year I used to work at a middle school, and I remember like sometimes getting together with the other teachers and stuff, and we'll be talking, and one of them told me like, "Oh, I gotta go. I gotta start my shift with the Uber." And I'm like, Oh shit! This really is the hardest, worst paid job in the world. Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah. But I think for the few scenes that Sudeikis has at the start, and then the Uber scene, and then later at graduation, I think he pretty much nails the scenes that he has. Same thing with pretty much all the other Will Forte and Lisa Kudrow. Also, Jesus, they played such a good for like the few scenes that they have. I think they also like represent the modern parents that they want to like understand their kids, but at the same time they kind of don't. But they do what they can.
Yeah, like I
So
mean, they think that they're
yeah.
together, so they're just like, "Oh yeah, we're cool with it. Like we're not trying to push you away."
There's a scene where in that scene where they're talking about like, oh, we gotta be like I don't remember the exact quote, but they're talking about something about the homework or something to check, and then Lisa Kudrow just goes, okay, we don't need to know all the names. And scenes like that, I think really work.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. I mean,
yeah,
and you could tell like the main actresses, Caitlin Dever and Beanie,
yeah,
had just a really good chemistry together. And when I was doing a little research on the movie, Olivia Wilde had like encouraged them to live together, like to really build
yeah.
up that relationship. And they had ended up being roommates for 10 weeks.
That sounds really cool. The thing that this movie reminds me the most, and I'm gonna end up always making comparisons because, well, this is a tried formula. So, and if it's been attempted before, and if it's worked, it's because it's worked. But if you take an actress and then they want to direct, they would usually try to make like a personal thing or like a personal story. My favorite that I can mention right now is probably the case, in fact, with Lady Bird, which was directed by Greta Gerwig.
Hmm.
I'm a big fan of Greta Gerwig. She's probably one of my favorite directors working right now. Both Lady Bird and her version of Little Women that came out last year are among my favorite films of the past few years. And she was an actress first, and she was in this movie Frances Ha. I don't know if you've seen it.
It sounds familiar. I don't think I've seen it
Yeah,
though.
Frances Ha, black and white film about this. It's pretty much a coming of age story, but the main character is in her 30s, and she's when I watched that film, and then she directed Lady Bird, which she said that it was explicitly based on her young life. I could see that that's that different sensitivity that when you're an actor, you know how to work with other actors. So you probably know what you want. So if you're put in the director's chair, you know what to tell the actors. And
Oh
I
yeah.
think Olivia Wilde does the exact same thing here, where she probably knows what she wants to hear. So she probably is giving that to the actors. And because of that, you can see the chemistry works better. You can see like I said, there's a different sensitivity to a Superbad, to a Project X, to another movie like this. Um, and I think that really shines and helps bring a lot of heart into a movie like this.
Oh yeah, I mean, one of my favorite directors is Kevin Smith, and he had been
Oof,
asked. He had been asked
you are
once.
speaking my language, man. Yeah,
He had been asked once if during one of his Q&As if he had given Ben Affleck any advice, and he was like, "No, I mean that guy was gonna always direct. I mean, from the time that I was directing him, and if anything,
yeah,
he would always get mad at me because he would always be like, 'Move the camera, move it.'" And it's funny because he brings it up and he says, like, I mean, if you think about it, man, these actors are working behind these great directors all the time, and they're just looking at them and they're like, well, and they're putting together this bag of tricks that they're just like, well, I would do this, I wouldn't do that, but I would do this, I would do that, and they're pretty much sculpting their directing career if they decide to go into directing, and next thing you know, they have this playbook that they would do if they were ever put in that role.
yeah, yeah. Which is why these actor-directed films always have like a different sensitivity. Sometimes for good, sometimes for bad. Very quick before we move on, favorite Kevin Smith film? I need to know.
My favorite Kevin Smith film. Oof. That's tough. I mean, I love Clerks, but I can quote Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back any day of the week. I
Okay.
absolutely love that movie. I mean, even I saw the newest one.
The reboot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jay and Silent Bob reboot, and you know, it's not it's not a movie for people that are just getting into Kevin Smith.
Not at all.
It's a
That's
yeah, it's a movie
yeah.
if you've rid with him for his entire career that you're just like, this is just fan service. I mean, and I
Yeah.
love it.
In the best way. Yeah. I remember I read his book. It's called Tough Shit. I remember in fact I listened to it as an audiobook, which works better because it feels just like a long form podcast.
Mm.
And in the book he tells his story about how he got into a plane and he was asked to either purchase another seat
Oh, Too
or
Fat
get
to
off.
Fly.
Yeah. And
Oh
then
yeah.
in the movie, they do a joke about that when they ask him to get on the plane. And it's like, hey, you can't do that to him. He lost weight. Like, you can't do it. And I remember thinking, like, nobody who hasn't read that book is going to like enjoy that joke.
Oh
You
yeah.
know?
Like unless
Yeah.
you're a
And
diehard Kevin Smith fan, like you're
yeah,
not gonna pick up on the subtle nuances of his
yeah,
jokes. And
yeah,
it's crazy because I mean, if you think about it, most actor directed films, the actor always puts himself in the film, like in some
yeah.
form and capacity. And you don't see Olivia Wilde in this movie at all.
Yeah, I was surprised by that actually. Like not even a small scene. Like even Jordan Peele when he did Get Out, he did the voice of like a commercial that's playing on TV. And
Hmm.
I think he also did the voice of the dying deer. Like he did like the foley for that.
Okay.
Yeah, so even in a small, but I think that him not cameoing in that would make more sense because I think if he comes out, they're gonna be like, "Hey, it's the I said bitch guy," and they wouldn't really like get into the mood of that very dark film.
Hmm.
Um, this is a little different, however, on with the case of Booksmart. I think I don't know what Olivia Wilde is working on next. I think she already said what she's doing. I think she said she's adapting something. However, if I can have just a small, very small suggestion, and this is just me putting it the inner space. If someone wants to pick it up and bring it to her, then they can. Um, so Marvel films, you know, you probably heard of them. They're kind of a big deal. And the cool thing that I think that they do is that they're picking up this very small indie directors and they're giving them the largest budget in the world and be like, hey, go do me a masterpiece. Uh, and usually when a small town indie director has a hit that leads to them doing like a bigger film and then that usually lands them into a Marvel film. It happened with the director of Black Panther when he did Fruitvale Station and then did Creed, and now he did Black Panther.
The director for Spider-Man also, right?
John
For
Watts,
yeah.
yeah, he did that cop car movie and that clown movie also.
Hmm.
Yeah. So if history is to repeat itself, I'm just gonna put this out there. Captain Marvel 2. Just gonna say it. Just gonna put it out there. Just you know, if you have thoughts on Captain Marvel, we can talk about them at some point. Just saying. If history is to repeat itself, Olivia Wilde could do a pretty cool Captain Marvel 2.
Oh no, I'm not married to the directors of Captain Marvel, the first one. And to be
Yeah,
honest, it is a little rough. It's a rough movie mostly because it's it's stuck in the middle between Infinity War and Endgame. The
yeah,
biggest reason that people saw that movie is because they want to know what happens to
yeah.
Captain Marvel and how she's going to fit into Endgame. And it's funny because it wasn't the only movie that was stuck in between Infinity War and Endgame.
Same
Uh,
with Ant-Man.
yeah,
You know,
Ant-Man 2 was stuck between Infinity War and Endgame. And you can make the argument that Ant-Man 2 was a more enjoyable film.
I like
And,
both. To be
yeah.
honest, I'll be honest. I have a soft spot for the Captain Marvel movie. I actually really enjoyed it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought it
Like,
was
for me,
yeah.
I don't hate any movie. The only movie that I just absolutely abhor is
Okay.
Fences. That's the only movie I have blatantly said I hate that movie. I hate I hate the story. I hate the character. I hate Denzel Washington's character. I think it's a stupid synopsis, but that's neither here nor there. But
Yeah.
this movie, I mean,
You should talk with Eddie about that, because when we did our top 10 for the year, I think he put that in his, I think it was like a 6, 7, or 6 in his list.
oh, I would gladly talk his ear off as to why that movie's horrible.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I mean, if they brought in Olivia Wilde to direct, I mean, I would love it. I mean, she well, let's look at it. I mean, she's basically 1-0. Like
Yeah.
she has a win. I
Yeah.
mean,
A
if
huge win. I think this movie is, I wish more people had seen it in the theater. Really. I wish it had
yeah,
made more money. Yeah.
yeah, it sucks because I mean, um, I remember Matt Damon talking about Good Will Hunting, and he was
Yeah.
saying that that movie wouldn't get made today. Those movies
No,
would not get made today
no, not at all.
because it's like in this weird uh section where it has too high of a budget that it's not an indie movie, but it can't have a lower budget like a Manchester by the Sea. And like it sucks because I mean I wish this movie just had more recognition. And I mean, luckily it did get some with names like Will Ferrell behind it, Anna McKay. So I mean, that's always a good thing. But I feel like this movie could have had a lot better marketing. Um, but for what it was, I mean, it was good. At least it wasn't such a small release that a lot of people weren't able to see it. Like one of my favorite films is Blind Spotting,
Yeah.
and
I
that
remember,
movie
I checked out your review. I really liked it.
that I love that movie. Again, I'm so personally attached to it because I mean these were rappers that I had been listening to, and so seeing them make a movie together, I was enthralled with it. And that movie had such a limited release. Like the nearest showing was like in Houston and San Antonio. So
Yeah.
I mean, this one at least I was able to see it at AMC multiple times. So I mean, at least it had that going for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the fact that they had Will Ferrell's name pretty in big lights was the big, like, attention grabber. Was the thing that people were gonna go. The same way that when Good Boys was released, they used Seth Rogen's name as producer, and he was even in the trailers, even though he's not in the actual movie.
Oh yeah,
Um, yeah, it's all marketing, and I'll be honest. I think maybe I'm an optimist, maybe, but I think Booksmart can really find an audience in the next couple of years, in the same way that we used to have those movies that were hits because we just kept renting them or things like
yeah,
that. I feel like that renting is not a thing anymore. Blockbuster's not a thing anymore. So these movies getting a second life gets harder, also because more movies get released now. Well, not now, not COVID times, but I think uh, I think Booksmart is a movie that really deserves a watch, especially if you've never, if you haven't heard of it and you haven't seen it. I highly recommend everyone checking it out. But if you haven't seen it and this is the time when you're finally hearing about it, please give it a watch. I think it's a movie that deserves so much life. I think it's so quotable. It's got so many like charming characters. It's so stupid funny, and I think it's a movie that deserves to be more. It deserves to be. I don't want to say iconic. I think it's too early for that, but I think it's got the makings of a movie that can last the test of time. And I think it would suck if a movie like this doesn't. It's kind of like when Clerks came out and it became such a hit because, well, the 90s needed like a revolution of a movie like that. That movie, Robert Rodriguez's first film, the Mariachi, and Quentin Tarantino's uh, films were just basically becoming like a thing. I think if that becomes the sound of the cinema in the 90s, this can really become what the 2000s, what the 2000s, maybe the 2020s can be.
mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I agree 100%. And luckily, I mean, it is on Hulu.
Yeah,
If you want to check it out, it is on Hulu. The only thing I feel like now for a movie to get a ton of rewatchability. And I'm not saying that this is the thing, but it seems like Netflix is usually the general thing that most households have. I feel like if it was on Netflix, it would get a better a better shot at being in more households.
Yeah, maybe at some point it will. Like
Yeah, because
those
I
two
like
like jump
Hulu. I
back and
mean, it
forth.
has a lot of sleeper movies that you just don't like come across, but like it does have some good movies. It's just that sometimes you don't see them.
Yeah, Hulu is also the only place where you can legally stream Scrubs, and that's one of my favorite shows. So
Oh,
that's
really?
my main thing. Yeah, freaking love Scrubs. I think it's one of the most underrated comedy shows of all time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Scrubs is always gonna be a classic.
yeah.
For Booksmart, what was your favorite scene?
Ooh, favorite scene in Booksmart. Jesus, the ride on the lift is pretty fun. The fireworks jumping from the from the boat is pretty fun. Uh, them trying to mug the pizza delivery guy was pretty fun.
Oh, this the
Uh,
undercover serial killer.
the Gorilla Killer, them driving the car to graduation and crashing, literally crashing the graduation is fun. Uh, how about this? I'm gonna give you a serious scene and a funny scene. How about
Hmm.
that?
All
All
right.
right. Serious scene is probably the scene when they're fighting at the party and all the sound kind of goes away, and because they do all that scene in one shot. From the second when Amy sees the girl that she has a crush on making out with the guy that her friend has a crush on in the pool, and she gets off, she puts on her clothes, and like I said, that concerned face that usually really works for comedic value starts to work as for drama. And that scene where she walks out of the pool and into the house, and all that fight that they have is all one shot, and I think it's done wonderfully. I think when she goes, they the true colors for both of them start to come out, and then the sound starts to go away. We see all the other kids kind of start filming them. Um, I think I think that scene is probably my favorite serious scene in the movie. Comedic scene is probably one of the scenes that follows when Amy says like, I gotta be a little bit more ballsy, and she distracts the cops,
Oh yeah, she's getting
and
arrested.
yeah, she gets arrested, and she's getting God, it's so funny. She's getting like walked to the back of the cop car, and she's going into this monologue on do you know there's more jails than colleges in the U.S.? It's true. And then she yells probably my favorite line in the film where she's putting into the back of the car and she goes, "Shotgun." Just kidding, I don't have one. Like, oh God,
Oh, I remember that
it
line from the
works.
commercial.
Oh, it's weird. I don't remember seeing a trailer for the movie. I just remember like hearing like a lot of buzz about it, and that's what made me want to see it. But oh God, that line's really good. But honestly, comedy scenes, probably any scene that has Gigi in it. Probably the scene where they're talking about her and she's on the pool, but she's like they don't like you can't really tell if she's dead or not.
Oh yeah.
That's probably good. The next day at the graduation when she's playing the piano and then she's like asleep on the piano. That's also really funny. But it's probably those two scenes are probably my favorite parts of the film.
Yeah, I would say that my favorite serious scene is the same scene where they're fighting and everything they're saying starts to get drowned out by the music. I'm curious as to why Olivia Wilde decided to do that. Why you don't hear them continuing to fight, but you're just watching their emotions. So I'm curious to hear. Like, I wonder if she will ever answer that. But I mean, I love that scene because you really can see like their emotion playing off of each other. And for funny scene, I mean, the tripping scene where they're pretending to be dolls is hilarious.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think Gigi steals the show when it comes to comedy, and it's crazy because when I was doing research for it, they actually didn't have as many scenes for her, but they loved her so much that they put extra scenes for her, like a Matthew McConaughey in Dazed and
Dazed
Confused.
and Confused. Yeah. Yeah. Um, when it comes to the drowning out the sound in that scene, I remember one time I saw an interview with Greta Gerwig, who directed Lady Bird and that, and she mentions in that interview that she wanted the movie to feel like to look and feel like a memory, and I feel like maybe a similar thing is being applied here, where you probably at some point have had a fight with like a close friend, and it really does feel like that, like there reaches a point where you just stop, you just have, if you see it in perspective, you're like, what the fuck were we even fighting about, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like something like that is being applied. They want us to go from feeling like a person who's there to a person who's just remembering this thing happened. And I think it really fits. I don't know if that's the reason why Olivia Wilde chose that, but I think it really fits the scene, especially when after that you see them kind of like separated and then eventually reunited at the on jail. I need to bring up one more scene that I think it's pure movie magic, and that's the scene when they're at the party and they're doing karaoke and they're singing. Oh God, what was the name of that
Oh,
song?
the Alanis Morissette song.
Yeah,
You Ought to Know.
you ought to know. I think. Oh God,
That
I
threw me
love.
off because I was like, man, that's such a 90s song. I'm surprised they're singing this.
It's a weird thing. I find it kind of like there's always like a generational gap. You know how like in the 80s they did Grease and that was about the 50s. And now our generation is kind of really into the 80s. You see Stranger Things, you see things like that. You know, we're really into the 80s right now. And I think the Gen Z, we millennials, we got the for some reason we really look back into the 80s, and now I think Gen Z is kind of romanticizing the 90s. You know, I think that's going to be a thing for them, and that's a timeless song. I think it really fits that moment. If they had chosen a song from today, I don't think it would have fit as well.
No.
Did you by any chance see the movie Blockers a couple years ago?
The one with John Cena?
Yes.
I never got to see it. I have mixed emotions about it because when I saw the trailer, I was just like, oh, this movie has such a. It feels like it could go bad like really quick,
Okay.
and I think the scene that just turned me off, that just made me think like, man, I'm just probably not gonna like it, is when John Cena takes the beer bong in the
In the
ass.
butt. Yeah. Let me put your words to rest. The movie is good. The movie is
Really?
actually very very funny. I
Hmm.
think it's such a nice. It's like American Pie in reverse, if you want to see it like that.
Hmm.
It's these parents that are very concerned for the kids, and the kids are actually okay, and they're worried that like, oh no, what if their dates try to abuse them? Their dates are also good kids. Like they're all good kids, and it's a cool thing to see from the perspective of the parents that like they're being paranoid, but being usually they're right to be paranoid. But in this case, the kids are all right, you know. And I think it does like a nice like a nice balance. The reason why I bring this up is because there's a scene in the movie where one of the kids, one of the three main girls, she's a lesbian, and she finally comes out with like her friends and like to everyone, and they use this song as a cue for those scenes. I don't know the name of the singer or the name of the song. I just remember the song goes like something something something. I love myself, something like that. Not the Kendrick Lamar one. It's a different. It's like a different pop song, and they use that song. It's a current one, and it's from the last couple of years. And they use that song every time that they're gonna refer back to the fact that she's coming out. And then when she finally comes out, she's dancing to the song in the prom. And I think, probably in like 20, 30 years, we're going to look back at that scene and look at that song and be like, oh, yeah, that's a song that used to play back then. I think the fact that the Booksmart uses You Ought to Know weirdly makes the movie more timeless, because that's a timeless song, like I said before. And I think it really, really fits what the character's going through. It's a song that people sing at karaoke. And I think it really fits. I really like that scene. I feel like that's a scene that you would probably see happen in real life. Like you could go to a party, people would probably sing that song.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
You Ought to Know is a great karaoke song, and
Yeah.
I really like how it was used in that movie, and I like how it was a little like thing like that throws you off because you're just like, well, I wasn't expecting for this song, but I mean, I love this song, so might as well enjoy it.
Yeah. It
I,
really, really works. Yeah.
and It's funny because like it's really weird to see this movie because I mean it does bring a new aspect to the game that is teen movies because
Yeah.
it's such a new direction that they're taking it into, but it still has those same bones, just different flesh around the body of what the movie is. So it is nice to see that these movies are still going strong, and I really hope like that this movie is a sign that they're gonna keep updating the genre, but still keep it current. Because I mean, think about it. Like one of the most quintessential '80s movies is Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and there's
Yeah.
an abortion scene in the movie. Like, I mean, to see where it's gone from that genre, from the '80s to now, I mean, it's pretty crazy on how far the genre has come, and to see these different directors' ideas of where to take that genre.
Yeah, coming of age is actually my favorite genre of film. So
Hmm.
it's so like you said, there's a I keep like a little list of like my favorite like coming of age every like year, every couple of years, just so I can keep like a tab on them and like you said, see how the genre has changed. If we look back to the '80s, which is pretty much the decade that invented that, and we got like 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, Ferris Bueller, Stand by Me, Daisy Confused, Clue. We go to the '90s with I would consider Clerks to be a coming of age film. Clueless, Mallrats, 10 Things Ahead About You. We move on to, things like School of Rock, Eurotrip, what else? Superbad, Juno, Moonrise Kingdom, Francis Ha, Stuck in Love. There's like a crap load of these. And then the last couple of years, I think we've gotten, different ones, but in a good way. They've adapted to the times, not just by giving the characters smartphones, but also, adapting the values of each generation. Movies like Spectacular Now, Perks of Being a Wallflower, What If, Way, Way Back, That Awkward Moment, Two Night Stand, Dope, Camp Dakota, Me and Earl the Dying Girl. What else? Hunt for the Wilder People, Sing Street, Paper Towns. Uh, Even the last Power Rangers reboot had a bit
Oh
of
yeah,
a
that's
coming of
straight up teen
age.
movie.
Yeah, and in a good way. I think it really works. One of my personal favorites of the past couple of years that I don't see people talk about enough, and I will make it a point to do a review on this, is Everybody Wants Some. Have you ever heard of this movie?
Oh, I love Everybody Wants Some. I love it
Okay,
because it's the spiritual sequel to Dazed and Confused.
yeah, I quote that movie daily, and nobody gets.
Oh, that movie's hilarious. I love
I
that movie.
that's my comfort meal
I
movie.
had shown
I'm
my
having
friends Dazed and Confused, and they loved it. They loved Dazed and
yeah
Confused. I showed
yeah
them Everybody Wants Some, and they liked it, but it just didn't hit with them as Dazed and Confused did. But for me, Everybody Wants Some, it's not gonna hit like Dazed and Confused, but it hits in a different way.
yeah. Here's my hot take. I think Everybody Wants Some is better than They Stick Confused.
Ooh, that is a hot take.
It is, but I don't know. It's just I love Dazed and Confused. It's got lines, for the end of the world. That's where we got all right, all right, all right. We got hey, you got a joint? Be a lot cooler if you did. That's where we got my favorite line in that movie is I think his name is Eddie, but he says dominant male monkey motherfucker. That's my favorite line.
Or
But
them
everybody
reciting the Deliverance line, "Squeal like a pig."
squeal like a pig. That's a good one. But everybody wants some. Just so many lines, and that's I don't know. I went to a college town. I went to a college in Texas, so that's my movie. That's my thing. I think, and I don't know. Just that's like the one movie where, like, if you ask me if you could live in a movie, I would probably choose Everybody Wants Some. Just like that weekend in the '80s, bunch of dudes just partying, rock music, and just partying. Yeah, that's that. It's not my aesthetic, but it is something that I would like to experience. That would be like if I could jump and be a part of, if I could be a cast member in a movie, that would probably be my.
Oh yeah, for sure. That movie always seems like a great time. I
Yeah,
would love to jump into that universe.
yeah. But yeah, coming back to Booksmart, the kids are all right, man. The kids are all right. I think Booksmart is it's too early to call it the quintessential Gen Z comedy, but I think time will tell. I think time will definitely put it in a bright spot. I just hope people will keep watching it. I hope people will keep rewatching the same way that my generation rewatched Superbad like a million times. I think this movie has the potential to be that equivalent. Even though from what I've heard, people don't like when they compare this to Superman, but it's kind of hard not to. It's and not because it's the same plot, but because it's got the same vibe, and it just carries out like a thing for a new generation.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
mean for sure. Like when I watched this movie, I was like, this has that super bad feel. Like
yeah,
it's really reminiscent. Like you can feel like it has that essence around it. I don't know. What I thought was funny about this movie is like I was looking at the kid actors, and a lot of them are related to famous people. Like Beanie Feldstein's related to Jonah Hill, is the sister. The
yeah.
guy who plays Nick is the son of Cuba Gooding Jr.
Wow.
Yeah. The girl who plays Triple A, she's
Yeah,
the daughter of a screenwriter, and Billy Lord is the daughter of Carrie
Carrie
Fisher.
Fisher.
I mean,
Yeah,
it is funny because like I mean, back then when you would see child actors who were um, related to
related.
actors of that time,
They usually weren't good.
that or they would have like huge drug problems.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, still early to be
yeah,
honest. Still
it
early to
is
be
it
a thing.
is early, but I mean, I think by this time, like RDJ, like Robert Downey Jr., like by his early 20s, was having drug
Yeah,
problems. I want to say Carrie Fisher was probably having drug problems as well.
yeah.
I mean, I feel like the Hollywood has gone in a direction where they're a little bit more
Clean.
not clean, but they have a more watchful eye on the next generation of actors. And I
Yeah.
feel like the next generation of actors has looked at what they did before in Hollywood, and they're like, "Oh, well, I'm just not going to do that."
Yeah. I just I don't know. I have a super good feel with these actors. I feel like I'm gonna enjoy whatever path they decide to work after this. Especially the main two girls, Caitlin Dever and Benny Falstein. From what I've heard, Caitlin Dever is in a show called Unbelievable, which apparently is getting like a lot of Emmy buzz. So I'm gonna check that out because I want to see more of her. And from what I've heard, don't quote me on this, but apparently she's a favorite to play Ellie in the Last of Us TV show that HBO is doing.
I
What
could
do you
see
think about
that.
that?
She kind of looks like her.
Yeah, she could pull it off. Yeah,
I mean, I guess wrapped up this podcast because I mean
yeah,
we've pretty much gone and fleshed out this movie as much as we could.
yeah.
What would you rate this movie?
Oof. See, I used to take like a more formal approach, like an actual critic, and be like, "Oh, this is cinema. This is that. This is this." I think movies should be rated like this. It set out to do something in its own genre. Did it succeed? Yes. Is it a perfect movie? I think it's pretty close. I think in its own genre, in its own time, in its own thing, I think it succeeds in what it wants to do. And I would give this a good 9 out of 10. I think it's a great time. I think it's fun. I think it's endearing. I think it's charming. And I think the actors work. I think the direction works. I think it perfectly encapsulates the time that it's living. And yeah, I would give it a 9 out of 10. A definite suggestion to anyone who hasn't watched it, and a definite suggestion to rewatch if you've already seen it. I think this movie has great rewatch value, which I can't really say for like a lot of movies that have been coming out. So I love this movie. I think it's a shining jewel in the past couple of years. What would you rate
Definitely, I would give it my Fernie seal of approval. I mean, if I do it out of a 5-star scale, I'd give it 4 stars, 4 solid
it?
stars. I
Yeah.
mean, it's great. Not once did I ever really feel like the movie was dragging. Like I felt like it was pretty good, pretty
Good
well
pace.
paced.
Yeah.
Um, I thought the comedic parts hit great. I thought the actors were hitting all their marks. I mean, I really have no quarrels about it. Minor tweaks here and there, but nothing that's so major that it'd stop you from watching it. If anything, I feel like this be the perfect movie if you wanted to do a teen movie night and basically compare this movie to like different teen movies of the years.
Fun sleepover film is what you're trying to say.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Um, but before we wrap this up, I wanted to ask you. I want to start doing this whenever we do like an actual review, like filming this. I'm gonna ask you a quick question about the movie, a little piece of trivia, and I want to see if you know the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the movie starts with the Benny Falsting character. She's listening to this self-power audio of this woman telling her to fuck everybody else and that she can make it on her own. Do you know who is that voice that's talking?
I know I heard it before. What? Maya Rudolph, isn't it?
It is Maya Rudolph. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Good. You got it. I forgot to mention one of my favorite scenes in the movie, and I need to bring it up before we close out. I have a thing where I very much prefer character over plot, which is why a movie like Everybody Wants Some speaks to me a lot, because like there's no plot. It's just these characters fucking around.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you put a character in a movie and that's your main character, and you introduce them to the audience, you need to make the audience fall in love with them as soon as possible. You need their first introduction to be likable immediately. And the scene at the start where Amy goes to pick up Molly and they start dancing in the street. Oh, that's perfect. That's how you introduce a character. To me, that's fucking perfect. Just how she goes, she starts like honking her horn and they start like doing poses and start dancing and just like the music clears out and they're still dancing. Oh God, I think that's the best introduction you can have to your main heroes in a movie. I think that's fucking good.
Yeah.
I
I
needed
mean,
I needed to shout out that scene because I love it so much.
it's so reminiscent. Like people who actually have that close friend or those group of friends, like they know, like, oh yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah, it's super relatable. Like if you see that and you have a friend like that, you immediately go like, oh yeah, I know what that's like. All right, Fernie, that should be it. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add.
No, I mean, we pretty much fleshed out this movie as much as I really wanted to. I really want to iterate, like, if you haven't seen this movie, I really recommend that you watch it. It's such a
Perfect.
great watch. And if you have Hulu, check it out. It's free. If you're listening to us on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you're listening to us wherever you listen to your podcast, whether it be Spotify, Apple, Google, please subscribe. We really appreciate it. I want to thank Chema for joining me on Wednesday Rewind.
Thank you for having
And,
me.
and I'd love to thank you all for joining us. If you're listening to us, please check out the rest of our podcasts. Chema has some great ones on there with Eddie, Alex, and with other guests as well. I
Yeah,
mean,
we recently did a review of Justice League with my friend Amanda, who joined us
mm-hmm.
for that review. That went pretty good. We're working on a couple more stuff. We're working more written reviews, and I like this dynamic that we're doing, and I'm really liking this this Wednesday retrospective that we're doing. So, thanks for having me, Fernie. Be glad to come back. I heard, if I'm not wrong, we'll be doing that Stranger Things season 2 review if everything goes well.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm
Yeah, that's
rewatching
gonna
it
be
now
fun.
to refresh my memory on it.
That's gonna be fun.
I just want to say thank you for joining us. Please be back. We release on Wednesdays and Saturdays. And so I just want to say thank you for joining us.
Cut it.